So we're going to jump on in. Before I turn it over to you, Jimmy, I wanted to cover a few things that is happening, sort of what we're seeing in the market. So first, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. I saw Jimmy Mackin speak a few weeks ago. He's awesome. Got some great stuff for you today. But before I turn it over to Jimmy, I wanted to cover a few things, talk a little bit about the market, what we're seeing, what we're doing at the company. There's been some leadership changes at Berkshire Hathaway, as I'm sure you've seen. So the market, the beginning of the year, if you saw my video, our expectations were we're going to see a slow, but I'll call it a deliberate decrease in interest rates throughout the year, which we are seeing. We sort of a little bit of a blip up in April when the whole stock market went crazy with the tariffs announcement. But all in all, we're seeing a slow decrease in mortgage rates that I think is going to continue throughout the year. And we also anticipated a modest increase in unit sales and average sale price. We're almost looking at a repeat of last year, actually. So fast forward about 4 months into the year, we are seeing units very, very close, depending on the marketplace, to what we saw last year. The Northeast market is actually performing a little bit better than most other markets. The South's doing worse. Out West is doing a little bit worse. The Northeast is kind of hanging in there better than most. Average sale price is up actually a little higher than we anticipated. And yes, interest rates continue to slowly decrease. Again, in early April, when the tariffs were announced, it was a kind of a crazy situation. The stock market crashed, mortgage rates went up, but that has absolutely settled down now. Actually, year to date, the S&P is only down 3%. So speaking of the tariffs, I do think the tariffs continue to cause a little bit of short-term pain, but I think they're going to work themselves out in the end. And once a few deals are struck with some other countries, others will follow. And I think this thing's going to sort itself out. And I think when that happens, we'll probably see the stock market take off, and we'll continue to see the 10-year Treasury drop, which leads to mortgage rates dropping as well. I think rates are going to continue to drop throughout this year and into 2026. And as they get down into the fives, which I think, could occur over the next year or so, it's going to lead to some real growth in the real estate market. More of that pent-up demand is going to be released. And we're already seeing more listings hitting the market. So we sent out market insights last week. So please look at that, share that with your sphere. A lot of good information in there. Excuse me. So what's happening at BHHS Fox and Roach? So I wanted to share with you a little bit about, what we're working on as a senior leadership group. We are constantly working on initiatives and projects that will help you, achieve your goals and grow your business. So right now, Rajiv and his team are working on ACE 2.0. We're going to have a new look with ACE. Can be better organization of our tools and resources. We completed a survey. We had a survey of our tools and technology that you use, and the ones we wanted to identify the ones that you really value. And we're going to be making the changes that you shared with us in that survey. When we hear you, when you say that the amount of tools and tech that we have can be confusing, and we understand that, we've heard that, and we're fixing this, we're addressing this. So stay tuned for ACE 2.0. We're in the process of creating a digital transmittal so that you're not going to need to input your transactions multiple times. We're in the midst of a brand refresh. Melissa and her team have been working on this for the last couple of months. I no doubt you've seen it in all our social media posts and around the office, but especially in our social media and digital posts. I think everything looks a little more current, a little more cool, if you will. So we're happy to see that. Melissa and her team are doing a great job on that. We're going to be an AI-first real estate company. We are head and shoulders way out there ahead of our competition as far as AI. Rajiv is known as the national expert in AI as it relates to the real estate industry. We all know about his weekly podcast. I encourage you to tune in. He has his Thursday AI Mastermind webinar series, which we have over 1,000 people attend every other Thursday. I'm on it every other Thursday. I learn about it every other Thursday. And Gemini AI is coming to your foxroach.com Google account this summer. By the end of 2025, all of our employees will be utilizing AI to increase their productivity so that they can focus more of their energies on you and helping you grow your business. And finally, the weekly flash. It comes out every Monday morning. Again, we heard you. You told us we get too many emails from too many different people. It gets confusing. So you're going to be receiving one email from the senior leadership team. It's going to come from your region president, and it's going to share with you everything that you need to know for the upcoming week. So that comes out every Monday, so look for that. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had some changes in leadership at Berkshire Hathaway and Home Services of America. Chris Kelly is now the CEO of Home Services of America, succeeding Gino Blafari. I know Chris very well. We're friends. He's a great guy. He's a great leader, makes good common sense decisions, super, super smart. And I'm super excited about where things are going to head under Chris's leadership. His first two decisions have been to put the live convention back on the map, which is going to be in Nashville in March of 2026. And his second decision was to hold a national CEO meeting next week with all the CEOs across the country. And we're going to talk about going in the office and working together. So really good stuff there from Chris. I'm looking forward to working for Chris and seeing what he does for Home Services of America. And then, of course, Warren Buffett is going to be retiring at the end of the year. That was all over the news this weekend. Greg Abel is going to succeed him. Greg Abel was the former CEO of Mid-American Energy, which is now Berkshire Hathaway Energy, and the energy company, as you know, owns Home Services of America. He's familiar with our business. Again, super bright guy. I anticipate no impact to our organization as a result of this change. So before I turn it over to Jimmy, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for choosing BHHS Fox & Roach as your business partner. And I just want to make this commitment to you again that we will we're always working together to do our very best to make sure that you always have everything that you need so that you can achieve all of your goals. So with that, it is my pleasure to turn it over to Jimmy Mackin. Before I do, I want to share with you a little bit about Jimmy. He's a recognized entrepreneur and thought leader in real estate marketing. As the co-founder of listingleads.com, one of the fastest growing platforms serving thousands of agents, he has helped transform how professionals generate listings and connect with their audience. Jimmy's approach combines data-driven insights with straightforward, actionable strategies that makes complex marketing tasks feel intuitive and effective. Today, he will be speaking to us about the Listing Attraction Playbook and how to develop a strategy to generate 5 to 10 additional listing appointments over the next 60 days. With that, it is my pleasure to turn it over to Jimmy.
Thank you so much, Larry. Just before I get started, I think it's important to recognize listen, I speak to a lot of different companies. I get a chance to present in front of a lot of different groups, and what you guys are doing over here at Fox and Roach is something really special. As you mentioned earlier, Rajiv is the foremost leader in AI for agents right now. The insight he's sharing, helping navigate the transition, is truly inspiring for myself and many people in the industry. And so I think for those of you on today's call, what's exciting, what you should be excited about in a market like we're in right now, it really is all about who you surround yourself with. And you guys have a great group of people here who are doing things the right way. And I fully support the efforts and initiatives you guys have put forward here. So on that note, let's get into some marketing ideas. How about that?
Sounds good.
What's so interesting right now is when I think about marketing, my goal is very simple. I'm trying to develop a marketing strategy that gives you the system to have more conversations, book more appointments, and get more listings. And what I find really interesting is when you look at the market today, so many agents right now, Rajiv, are focused on interest rates, inventory, inflation, tariffs, all these things that we have no control over right now at all. And what I realize is that there's this sort of like I think self-fulfilling prophecy that happens in real estate today is that if the treasury is off by 125 basis points, we stop prospecting. We get bad news about GDP being down in Q1, we stop doing marketing. And so much of being a great real estate agent is like being a great investor. It's not about your IQ. You can have the highest IQ out there, but if you don't have the right temperament, it's going to be a very difficult market for you. And so, what is that temperament? I've been on the road now, 50 cities in the last 18 months. There are agents who are winning. I mean, winning big. And the way I would describe this market is two phases. It's chaos and consolidation. There's agents right now who are reacting to the news, to things they can't control, and it's affecting their behavior, it's affecting their tactics, it's affecting the work they put in. And then there are other agents who just are so mission driven and so focused that they are just picking up market share and they are eating everyone else's lunch. And the question really is like, which agent do you want to be over the next 6 months, over the next 12 months? Do you want to start picking up market share? Or do you want to just be wake up every day in a cold sweat, worrying about whether or not we're going to see GDP drop by another 2%? Because I know for me, you can make money in every market. And really smart agents make money in this type of market. Smart agents are like loving this type of market because anybody and everyone could sell a house in 21, but now in 25 and beyond, like it's pros only. So on that note, let's talk about today's session because I want you to walk away today with a clear plan on three things you can do to get 5 to 10 additional listing appointments over the next 60 days. Three things you can do to get 5, 10 additional listing appointments over the next 60 days. And I'm going to, by the way, at the end of today's session, I'm going to give everyone a killer offer where you guys can get some more information about using listing leads as a marketing system. But I'm gonna share with you kind of a behind the scenes look at the work that we do and give you some inspiration that can actually get you guys some more appointments today. So look, on that note, if you're not following me right now, you can follow me. I'm on Instagram at Jimmy Mackin. I am on a mission to become the most useful person to follow in real estate because I'm in the business of helping people get customers. Now, there is some data that all of you should know. This is important data. Right now, Bright MLS put out some information on this that 6% of homeowners over the age of 60 are planning on selling their house in 2025. This actually represents 53% of all projected sales over the next 9 months in 2025 and likely even beyond that. This cohort of customers is known as, let me know in the chat if you can actually get this. This cohort of customers is known as what? In the chat, let me know. The 6% of homeowners over the age of 60 who are going to sell this year, they call them something. Let's see if anyone can get this right now. I know it's Cinco de Mayo right now. That's exactly right. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Gwen. They call them boomers. Yep, they call them boomers, sure. But the actual term referred to this cohort of customers is the silver tsunami. And it represents the vast majority of sales right now. Now, when you look at the market today, back in 21, when we were selling 6.1, 6.3 million houses, right, we saw a massive decline in the number of sales that got caught to, what we're estimating this year. And I'm talking specifically about residential resales, probably about 4 million houses, maybe 4.1, 4.2, who really knows, but in the low fours is the idea. The problem, and this is where the stakes get really high. The problem is if you do not have a silver tsunami strategy, you take what is already a challenging market and you make it that much harder. So if you don't have a specific strategy, specifically designed to go after this specific cohort of customers, you take this already hard market and you cut it in half. And when I look at the marketing strategy, Rajiv, and actually in the chat, let me know. When I look at this strategy, I realize that so many people, they do marketing, but they don't have a strategy. So the question is, do you have in the chat, and it's okay, this is a safe space. Listen, Rajiv's wearing his Aloha shirt. We are not going to judge you today, okay? This is a safe space. Do you have a specific silver tsunami strategy that you're executing every week? Yes or no in the chat right now. A specific silver tsunami strategy that you're executing every single week. Carmela, no. Smith, no. Joanne, Nicole, no, 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 no. We got one yes. Diane, shout out to Diane. One yes, but everyone's saying nope, nope, nope. Now, listen, you can be marketing to the silver tsunami by saying, what's your home worth, cash offer ads, but that's not a silver tsunami strategy. So, the way I want you to think about this is that when 53% of the sellers are going to be in this cohort, we have got to make sure our marketing messages, our content, our campaigns are targeted to them. And if we do that, then there's some magic that can happen. And by the way, in the chat, do you think your competition has a strategy for this? Right? So if you don't have a strategy, do you think your competition has a strategy? So this is the opportunity we have over the next 35 minutes here. Is your competition isn't doing it. So what is our plan here? How can we zig when everyone else is zagging? Now, if you're going to market to the silver tsunami, there's some stats that you need to know. 73 million boomers right now, they own at a ridiculously high rate of over 80%. Over 41% of them actually own the house free and clear. If they were a publicly traded company with the S&P, they would be the most valuable company in the world. They own over $18 trillion in equity. And lastly, this is important. I want you to remember the stat. The average age of a home owned by someone in the silver tsunami is 45 years. Not that they lived in the house for 45 years. Rather, if they bought the house in the 90s, the home was probably built in the 70s as an example, right? Or in the 80s. I can do math. It is Cinco de Mayo. And so for us, what we got to say, okay, now that we understand a little bit about the psychology, the stats around the silver tsunami, let's kind of get into how we can develop campaigns for these individuals. Now, let me tell you what not to do. This is an important sort of lesson for us, which is, Rajiv, I know you've waited long enough, but right now is a great time to sell. This market may not last. Why do you want to drag this out? Things are moving really quickly. Call me today. Let's cash out while the market's still hot. No risk. Don't wait. Don't risk losing thousands of dollars. Like, this is the type of aggressive, pushy marketing that a lot of people are putting in front of this cohort of customers. And this is the cash offer. This is the sell quickly. Now, let's be clear. Let's get into the psychology of a seller for a second. If someone has owned their house for 30 years, do you think they care about selling it in 7 days? And in our extensive research of the silver tsunami, what we realize is that most of the people in this cohort are not looking for some big win. They're looking to avoid a mistake. And it's a complicated process. They have to typically sell their house. They probably have to buy a new house. They want to plan it out methodically. They want to avoid making any type of missteps, because this is important, because this cohort of customers is asset rich and cash flow concerned. I would write this down. Asset rich and cash flow concerned. Over 60% of boomers who are part of the silver tsunami say they are concerned about outliving their retirement. And so for them, it's not just about getting the most money for the sale of their home. It's really about making sure they transition into a lifestyle that they can sustain over the long term. And so part of marketing in creating marketing campaigns that drive results is understanding this basic principle of goals and barriers, which is, what are the goals that people are trying to achieve and what are the things that are preventing them from achieving those? So in the chat for me right now, let's get into the mind of a silver tsunami seller. What is the goal that this individual or these individuals are trying to achieve? Just drop in the chat right now, just amongst your teams right now. What are they trying to achieve? Yeah, they're trying to reduce their risk, sure, right? What else you got? What are they trying to achieve when they sell their house? Yeah, Pat, exactly, right? They want to have enough money to retire. They want easy living. They want to be able to downsize, right? They want to buy a house that fits their lifestyle, right? And you just see right now, like this is a goal they have. So if we go down the list right now, Rajiv, we're thinking to ourselves, they want less maintenance. They want to move typically closer to family. They typically want to make sure they are reducing their costs. They want, convenience around every part of their life, including the maintenance and upkeep. Spot on, Dana, right? Less maintenance. They don't want to be mowing their yard, or having to water the plant all the time. And they certainly want to make sure that whatever the next decision is or next move is likely going to be one of the last moves they make. They don't want to do this twice, is the point. So what are the barriers that are preventing them from doing this? Let's think about that for a second. What are the barriers? Well, every day they wake up and they're concerned about their portfolio declining. So there's financial problems and stress. Number two is they're probably thinking to themselves, well, like every day I wake up and all I hear is that the market's crashing, you know? And so if I buy a house right now, am I buying at the peak? Is our home value going to drop by 20% over the next, 12 months? Now, we're in the Northeast, guys. Like, in the Northeast, we are very much insulated from a lot of the challenges the rest of the country is facing. I'm down in Florida now, but if you're in Miami and you have a condo, it's a buy one get three free. If you're in Toronto, in downtown Toronto, it's buy one get three free. If you're in Austin, where you've experienced a 20% decline over the last 2 years, right? It's a challenging market. In the Northeast, for better or worse, we got bad weather and good, stable home prices, right? So it's good. It's the good and the bad. So we know that in the Northeast, we just are not so susceptible to the whims of some of these other areas across the country. And so the barriers that are in their mind right now, of course, are financial or lifestyle related or process related. So if we are going to develop a strategy, we have to take all these things in consideration. So let me give you a couple examples of this. I was in a mastermind recently. Stop sharing my screen. I'll pull up in a second. I was in a mastermind where we were doing a live event and we had a group of 100 agents come through in groups of 10. And all we would do is ask the question, me and my buddy Tom Ferry, like, what is the number one thing you're doing to get listings right now? Group after group after group after group. For 8 hours straight, what's the number one thing you're doing to get listings right now? And we would go around the room and discuss. And so we would hear answers like, my SOI or my sphere. Okay, right? Living on my reputation. Some people were doing mailing. Great. Some people were killing on social media. And this agent walks in the room and she goes, the number one thing I'm doing to get listings right now is seller seminars. Her name is Maureen Follin, Queen of Queens. She goes, seller seminars. And she goes, I hosted a seminar and I had all this material prepared for the seminar, to cover for the full 90 minutes. I had, pages and pages of notes. And the only thing that sellers wanted to ask me about was one thing. And it starts with the letter T. In the chat, let me know what it is. It's death and it's blank. And so that's exactly right, right? And if the only thing they wanted to know about was taxes, 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 taxes. Specifically, how much taxes am I going to pay when I sell my house? Right? Because they have to maintain their lifestyle. They want to make that money go as far as they can. I was talking to my mother the other day. My mother's got over $1 million in equity. She's part of the silver tsunami. Her and my dad are thinking about selling. And I go, hey, Mom. I said, just out of curiosity. And she knows when I ask her that question like that, she knows I'm setting her up for something. But I said, how much capital gains tax are you going to pay when you sell your house? And she just goes, Jimmy, I'm not going to pay any capital gains tax. I'm over 55. And now I'm a ChatGPT tax expert now. I said, Mom, listen, I got some bad news for you. That was that law changed in 97 with Bill Clinton. And she was like, could not believe it, right? She could not believe it. Now we all know it's 250 and 500,000 on the primary residence, and we know it's going to be dependent on your state you're living in. After that sort of initial threshold, and that's the thing is that if someone believes something to be true or thinks they know the answer, if you present them with some new information, it captures their interest. So let me recap. Stellar seminars, whether they're virtual or in person, is one of the best ways to attract people in the silver tsunami. Number two, the thing they care most about is, yes, the transition and how the process is going to work, but above all else is capital gains tax. If you're paying 15%, 20% capital gains tax, guess what? That's more than the real estate commission. That's more than any of the fees associated with the listing. I mean, it's a very, very big cost. And so the problem is that when most agents decide to host a seller seminar, whether virtual or in person, it goes like this, Rajiv. Hey, Rajiv, we're hosting a seller seminar at the Capitol Grill. Come by. We're going to talk about the process of selling your house. It's going to be a great session. You're going to learn a lot. Here's 3 things you're going to learn, blah, blah, blah. Join us today. It's a very generic, very boring offer that has no kind of hook, no call to action. So what I want to share with you is an alternative. How do we get butts in the seats? Because we know, like Maureen Folan, who's generating the vast majority of her business from seller seminars, we know if we get them in the door, then that's going to create the opportunity to build a relationship, which is going to lead to an appointment, which is going to lead to a customer. So this is the letter that we created for a seller seminar. What's one of the worst surprises when selling your house? Finding out too late that you might owe a big tax bill. It happens more often than people realize, but the right advice, it's almost always avoidable. That's why Rajiv and I are hosting a seller seminar with Larry, one of the most well-respected tax advisors in our area. If you're thinking of selling, this 1 hour could help you move forward with confidence and potentially save you tens of thousands of dollars. To save your seat, just call or text. Here's our number. We would love to see you there. P.S. Seats tend to go quickly. Our last seminar with Larry filled up within a few days. P.P.S. If you can't make it on this date, still reach out. We'll make sure you don't miss on any of the information. And so there are so many things that we're doing with this letter, this invitation, that are rooted in the psychology of the silver tsunami. They don't want to be pushed. They don't want to be overly aggressive. They don't want to be sort of, their arm twisted into making a decision. So we're being very empathetic. We're not being overly aggressive with our messaging. But the other thing is that opening line, that hook, is rooted in the idea that people who are part of the silver tsunami are trying to avoid regret, avoid making a mistake. And so by saying to them, listen, this happens to a lot of people. We're not trying to make them look stupid or make them feel stupid. We're saying even smart people make this mistake. That's why we're doing this thing. And so my first advice right now, for those of you, and you could do this with a couple agents, you could partner with a tax advisor in your area, which you should do because you should not be giving out tax advice as a real estate agent. You should be partnering with a tax advisor, in my opinion. But this is a great opportunity to have a monthly seminar where every month you send this letter out to people in your area who own a house, who are over the age of 60, who have owned the house for over 15, 20 years, and you invite them to participate either virtually or in person to a seller seminar. This might feel a little scary for you, but once you get your first one under the belt and you get 2 or 3 listings from it, you are going to become addicted to this tactic as a way to have a seller seminar. And actually in the chat right now, let us know, have you hosted a seller seminar in the past? And by the way, if you have you gotten business from it? You can see just no, 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 no. And look at I think it was Carmela. Carmela, let us know the results you got from this, right? Elena, let us know the results you got from this. This is one of the best kept secrets, okay? In real estate is using seller seminars, but I want you to use the right script. Like look at Elena, by the way. Elena, I got a few sales from it. She has a seminar and she gets a few sales. I mean, let's not take that for granted. How incredibly powerful it is to add that as a lead pillar. In this market, if you don't, success is too hard when you cut the market in half. Look at Carmela, 2 buyers, 1 rental, 4 outgoing referrals. I mean, let's go. So seller seminar is a killer pillar that's working right now. Let's build on that idea for a second. One of the most effective strategies we've been coaching at Listing Leads. And by the way, we're going to get, by the way, I know many of you are probably looking for a blueprint on this. I'm going to get you access at the end of today's session. One of the most powerful marketing strategies we've implemented is the magic buyer alert strategy. Now, I asked you at the beginning of today's session, let's see if you guys are paying attention. What was the median age of a home owned by a homeowner in the silver tsunami? What is the median age of a home owned by someone in the silver tsunami? Okay. Shout out to Sue. Shout out to Wendy. Grace, a little bit less than that. Jessica, 45 years. Exactly. Michelle, boom, boom. Linda, boom. You're paying attention. I love it. 100 bonus points. Okay. Because here's the deal. Here's the deal is that let's just kind of, again, get in the mind of the psychology of a seller. If you own a house for the last 20 years, but the house is 45 years old, okay? So just walk through this with me. The house is 45 years old and you want to sell the house. That's your goal. The goal is you want to sell the house. And Rajiv, I want you to unmute yourself here because you're not going to do a little bit of role play. You want to sell the house, but it's 45 years old. What are some of your concerns that might prevent you from putting your house on the market or delay you from putting your house on the market?
Getting my house ready, repair, staging, and all that stuff.
Repairs, and just in the chat, let us know, right? Like repairs, staging, like Rashid, get in the mind of the consumer for a second. They're thinking to themselves, what? Like, I got to fix the roof. How much is that going to cost? Like, what else is going through their mind?
Clean up their house, like getting it ready for sale. Declutter.
They got to declutter. Like, they got to contact the contractors. They got to like coordinate and organize it. They got to figure out. They got to figure out themselves. Like, if I put a new roof on for $15,000, am I going to get a return on that, or am I just making this thing ready for the next buyer? Should I fix the kitchen? Do I got to update the water heater system, right? HVAC system. Do I got to, start painting this whole house? Like what? And that the thought of all that additional work, all that effort and energy, it just takes their goal they have and stacks up enough excuses where they do what? They
Say
just
no.
push it back, right? They just like, hey, I'm thinking about it, just like the timing's not right. It's not the right time. Which is why we have seen the sort of period over 23 to 25, like 2 million plus houses that should have been on the market did not hit the market. Yes, it was interest rates, but again, 41% of people own the house free and clear. Many of them would have a very small mortgage, if any mortgage. So it wasn't interest rates. It was the fact that there was too many excuses preventing them from taking that next step. And this is the thing that we have to address. Remember that this idea, they have a goal. We have to address the barriers that are preventing them from achieving their goals to help us actually get them to raise their hands. So, on that note, let's take this concept of the magic buyer letter and let's break this down. So, hey, Rajiv, I just spoke to my clients, Adam and Brooke, who were hoping to find a home in Auburn, New Hampshire. I promised them I would do everything I can to help them find a new home. That's why I'm reaching out. Adam and Brooke aren't looking for a new construction or a polished turnkey property. So what am I doing right there? I'm describing their property. You bought a home in a great area. I'm complimenting them. I'm letting them know, hey, listen, congratulations, which is why they're comfortable, even excited about the idea of making upgrades and handling repairs if needed. Now, what matters most to them is they're looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom within 3-bathroom within 15 minutes of this particular location. They're pre-approved up to 725,000. They're flexible. They're not looking to make a decision right now. So whether you want to move quickly or you want to take some extra time, totally okay with us. I know you're probably not even thinking about selling, and we're certainly not expecting you to sell your house today. But if you'd be open to the idea, I'd love to have a quick conversation. So the lesson here is this, is that if you're going to be marketing to the silver tsunami, you have to address what is the goals they have and what are the barriers that are preventing them from achieving the goals. And in your marketing and in your messaging, you want to communicate that clearly and make sure that it is compelling. And that's what we're doing with this letter. We're saying, listen, you don't have to fix the roof, fix the HVAC system. I've got a buyer who's willing to accept that because they love the area. And so what's so powerful about this, and Rajiv, the question I get asked every time, Jimmy, what if I don't have a buyer? What if I don't have a buyer's look? Let me solve that problem once and for all. The simplest thing you could do. You can email your database literally every week, your prospects, your leads, people like not your SOI, but your leads, saying, I'm going to be calling around this neighborhood and this price point to find off market deals. If I come across anything, should I let you know? Let me give that script to you again. If you do not have a buyer, I would say email your database or text your leads saying, I'm going to be calling in the, call it Haven neighborhood, homes between $700,000 and $900,000 to source off-market deals. If I come across any potential deals, should I let you know? Should I contact you, right? Super simple script. It works every single time because nothing is more like catnip to a buyer than the idea of getting early access to something. And so that's all we're doing is saying, listen, I'm going to call around the neighborhood. If you're interested, let me know. If I come across a deal, I'll call you back. That just gets people to raise their hand, which results in a conversation, which results in an appointment, which then can allow you to send that magic buyer letter in that neighborhood. And by the way, drop your questions in the questions chat because Rajiv and I will hopefully have some time at the end to break some of these down. Danielle says, why would you be specific about the pre-approval amount? Maybe just say they're strong buyers. Yep. So this is such a good question. And because it's related to this, Danielle, I'm gonna pull this up again so you can see this. Here's the reason why. Number one, remember, when it comes to the magic buyer letter, you are the one who's determining the target audience. So Rajiv, if somebody wanted to get a list of homes that were worth, let's say, $725,000 for people who've owned the house for 10 plus years, where might they go to get a list like that? You can see it in the chat right now. Remind, right, Cole? RPR, your title rep, prop stream. You know, the point is that like, before I send the magic buyer letter, I'm specifically building the list, right, of people. So I'm not sending to everyone in my farm. I'm saying I'm going to build a list of people who own a house for over 15 years, whose home value is estimated to be between 675 and 725. So I know this target audience is relevant and personalized. And so the other thing I'm doing to answer your question, Danielle, is the reason I'm also including that is because in marketing, specificity matters. It's so important. Specificity matters. If I say I've got some buyers who are interested in your area, who are thinking about making a move, who are highly qualified, give us a call. It's too generic. It's not specific enough, and it's not believable enough. And so, therefore, by being hyper specific, the consumer gets the message and goes, "Oh, this is for me," right? This feels like it's specifically sent to me. And that's the reason why specificity matters in a campaign like this. So I love the question. Great question. And Q&A is now officially, of course, Rajiv is going to be able to debug the tech support issue with Q&A. He's got something like, look at that Aloha shirt. That was easy breezy for him. No problem. All right. So let me end with this. We talked about stellar seminars. We talked about the Magic Buyer Letter campaign. Let me give you one more example of this. This is a campaign that I think is rooted in the basic idea that, and you guys all said this at the beginning of today's session, which is the number one thing people are concerned about is their cost of living after they move. So it's not just about selling, it's also about their next place they're going to be moving into. And so the way I want you thinking about this is that as you start to build up your portfolio and your pipeline of silver tsunami sellers, from seller seminars, from magic buyer letters, right, from referrals, every time you service one of these clients, I want you to use this trigger that event as a trigger to text people in your SOI. Hey, Rajiv, I know you're not expecting this, but I thought you would find it interesting. I just helped one of my clients buy and sell their house, and their housing costs dropped by $2,300 a month, 42%. out of curiosity, if you were to make a move, what would you want your all-in monthly cost to stay under? And so what we're doing here with this script, and this is the most important thing as we wrap today. The most important thing today is recognizing in marketing, and I would write this down, it's a principle that we follow at Listing Leads. Because the principle we follow is for one very specific reason, which is we know if you have 10 to 11 conversations, you're going to get a listing. And so the principle that we live by, and I'd write this down, it's make the first step a small step. So whether it's an email, postcard, direct mail campaign, video, right, door knocking, cold calling, make the first step a small step. So rather than asking them, would you like to sell your house? We're asking them, in the event that you may even think about selling your house, what would you want to keep your costs under? And all we're trying to do is make that question an easy to answer question so we can have a conversation. And by doing so, by having a conversation, we create the opportunity to book an appointment and get a listing. And so my advice for you, as we wrap, and we'll get to the Q&A here in a second. And by the way, before we do Q&A, I'm going to give everyone here a killer offer. Thanks to my friends over at Fox and Roach who are been huge supporters of us at Listing Lead. A killer offer. I asked the question earlier. How many of you know that your competition has a silver tsunami strategy? In the chat, everyone's like, nope, 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 nope. So if you were to introduce a comprehensive silver tsunami strategy, if you were to add that to your existing marketing strategy today, would you get more customers? Would you get more listings? In the chat, let me know. If you were to add a comprehensive silver tsunami strategy with specifically going after the 53% of sellers, would you get more customers? Would you get more listings? You can see Stephen, Amy, yes, yes, yes. Okay. That's why we built the Silver Tsunami Blueprint. So every person on today's call is going to get access to Listing Leads. We charge $139 per month at Listing Leads. But you don't have to pay for it. You can try it out 7 days, completely free. We will not bill you. Hit that QR code. You'll get access to the Silver Tsunami Blueprint, which we actually break down step by step. We have 10 campaigns in there. We break down step by step every single thing you should be doing to go after the 53% of sellers who are planning on selling their house in 2025. And what we know to be true is that if you do not have this, if you don't have a Silver Tsunami Playbook or Blueprint, and you're just sort of winging it, you're missing out on so much opportunities. And I know your competition is winging it right now. And I don't want you guys to wing it. I want you guys to have a plan that's easy to follow, that's easy to execute, that gets you in conversation and gets you more appointments. So hit that QR code. You get access to Listing Leads, free trial. You'll be able to join. You'll be able to get access to the blueprint. Amongst everything else we do at Listing Leads, our goal is help you get more conversations and book more appointments. So on that note, hopefully today's call was helpful. I want to raise awareness that this is a massive opportunity. We'll get into some Q&A here for any questions that we have, Rajiv. We'll dive into it.
Yeah, let's open it up to the group to see if they have any questions. I appreciate it, Jimmy. I mean, you make some really good points. Be specific, make the first step an easy step, small step. You're really just trying to generate a discussion, and you use that strategy yourself when you talked about Listing Leads in this whole plan, and it makes sense. It really makes sense. So with that, we'll open the Q&A up. We have about 15 minutes, 14 minutes or so.
So
For those
Jimmy,
who have some
Joe
questions.
Shepard posted it in the chat. Maybe we start with this one.
Sure.
Okay.
One of the concerns people have is how do you shop for a new home and they haven't sold their current home? How do you handle the bridge?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So, a couple things. If someone is waiting to find their next home before they list their current home, there's nothing at stake. Meaning that process can literally take 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or longer. And so what the challenge is, and in many instances, by the way, these buyers are going to have a contingent offer. They're going to say, in order for me to buy your house, I have to sell my house first. So even when they find the right house, they're putting together what I would consider to be a weak offer, right? If I'm a seller and I have a choice between Larry, who's ready to go, cash buyer, no contingencies or maybe one contingency, and Rajiv, who's like, listen, I love your house. I got to finance a thing, but I got to sell my house first. Like, if I'm the agent, even if the offers are equal, or maybe even Rajiv's offer from a price point a little bit higher, am I advising them to roll the dice with, happy hour Rajiv, or am I going to say, listen, you got to go with Larry because it's a bird in the hand. And I think for many of us, we'd say, oh, clearly, I'm just going to go with the guy who's got the money, no contingencies. So here's what I would do. Knowing that, I think you have to raise awareness with your sellers. Two things. Number one is letting them know it's okay to sell their house before they have a new house, which is to say that many, the way I would open a campaign like this up would be like this. It'd be like, you might be surprised to learn that most sellers list their home before they buy a new one. And right now they're like, oh, that actually is surprising to me. And then this is where I would turn to a specific case study. In fact, I just helped my client, Larry, sell his house, got a great offer, and within 43 days, we found a new home for him to move into that was reducing his monthly costs by 23%. Here's a quick testimonial from Larry. Jimmy was the greatest real estate agent ever. He helped me guide through the entire process. Highly recommend them. So if you're in this position where you're not sure on whether to sell first or buy first, give me a phone call. Here's my phone number. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help guide you through this process. And so what I'm doing in that case there, Rajiv, is I'm trying to address the objection up front, trying to provide a real world scenario of someone who just did this, and then create an easy to answer or easy to respond to call to action. And so my advice for you right now is you do this every day. If you were to ask the average seller, how long do you think it would take to find a new house? They go forever. But in reality, I mean, they're typically finding a house within 90 days, if not a lot faster than that. And so in the absence of information, the consumer is going to be confused. And confused people do not make a decision.
Yeah, good point. The other thing I want to call out that a couple of people have said in the chat as well, our mortgage affiliate, Prosperity Home Mortgage, Jimmy, offers a new program called Buy Before You Sell.
Yeah.
So again, meet up with a Prosperity Mortgage rep from your office and kind of learn about that and have that in your arsenal as well as you talk to sellers potentially. So
that's exactly right. Yeah, just anything you could do. Think about the goals and the barriers. Anything you could do to clearly define their goals. So you're like, hey, you think about making a move, but you're unsure whether to do X, Y, or Z. Address the barriers. That's all you have to do with your marketing message to get you to rise above the noise that's out there right now in real estate.
Yeah. So here's a question in the Q&A. Matthew asked, is there a listing leads plan for teams? I know you just launched it. Go for it, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Rajiv. I'll just pull up so everyone can see this. Matthew is not a plant, although we appreciate you, Matthew. So if you go to listingleads.com/teams, we'll drop that link in there. So listing leads is $139 per month to get access to listing leads. And again, we are a marketing system that's going to help you get listings, which is, we believe, is the lifeblood of a healthy real estate business. But if you're a real estate team and you want to add your agents, we have fantastic pricing on this. So if you're a team up to 5, every one of your agents, up to 5 agents, can get it for $139 per month. Team up to 10, $239 per month. And a large team, $299 per month. So all you have to do is go to listingleads.com/teams. Every single one of your agents can get access. You can just choose which package makes the most sense for you. And I want to give a quick plug. We are launching the listing leads personalization this week. which every postcard within the listing leads library is going to have your branding, your colors, your fonts, everything's going to be branded for your agents, which is going to be a huge value add. So yeah, go to listingleads.com/teams. We'll have all the information there.
Perfect. Perfect. So Pam asked a question about how do you use your tools and strategies that you just talked about, Jimmy, or a flavor of them at open houses where they meet prospects face to face?
Okay, so Pam is also not a plan because Pam, I just got off a call breaking down an open house strategy. I have so many open house strategies that we actually have a playbook within Listing Leads. Let me actually give you a quick script here. I'm going to give you, how's about this? Would it be helpful? Let me know in the chat. Would it be helpful if I gave you the exact sales letter that generated, they said that 50 people and got 2 listings? Not a trick question. If I gave you literally the exact letter my friend sent to 50 people and got 2 listings from an open house. So let me set this up, Rajiv. Procter & Gamble is widely regarded as the greatest consumer goods company of all time. I mean, Larry, they've launched Tide, right? Crisco, Crest toothpaste, Swiffer, and I mean, all of these things have become household goods, right? Is launched by Procter & Gamble. Most people don't know that. They know the brands. Procter & Gamble is a house of brands. And so what's so crazy about Procter & Gamble is that they have to create, they don't have to just release products. They have to create categories. Think about it. No one even thought about the idea of a dryer sheet until Bounce. So they have to like that. This is a incredibly challenging thing as a marketing company is how do you introduce a category? So back in the 90s, they developed Febreze, and Febreze was at the time they tested in a few markets. It was selling very, very well. And then they went nationwide with it. And sales were completely flat. Now, that almost never happens to Procter & Gamble because they do their research. They have their process. They have the process. They do their focus groups. And so like we got to figure out what's wrong with the messaging. So they started setting these lowly interns basically to meet all these consumers in their houses to understand, hey, why aren't you buying this product? And so the story goes, these interns met with a cat lady who had 9 cats. And I want you to imagine what a small house in a hot summer day in Georgia smells like with 9 cats and no air conditioning and no system. And so they said, listen, if you buy Febreze, we can help you eliminate the cat smell. And you know what her response was? What smell? They realized at that moment, right, Andrew, spot on. They realized at that moment that they coined the phrase that consumers were nose blind. They did not, if they were a smoker, they did not smell the smoke. If they were a cat lady, they did not smell the cats. And so what they did is they sort of repositioned the product to address this. And sure enough, when they relaunched the product, it was just absolute boom. They went from doing 0 sale or less than 10 million to doing, I think, $100 million. They do $1 billion in sales right now. They moved from an industrial cleaner to an air freshener. And so I believe I believe we are nose blind to open houses. Many of us on today's call would probably look at an open house and we think of that as a checkbox we have to do to appease a seller. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, listen, Larry, Larry wants me to do an open house. I'll do it. It's not going to sell the house. Maybe I'll get some buyer leads, sure. But it's really not going to move the house. And so we look at it as a sort of obligation, not an opportunity. And so I love John's comment. I have some houses they could actually, I have some houses I could probably use some Febreze. So open houses are one of the best ways, not only to get buyers, but to get additional listings. Let me give you the script that you could use. This is literally the exact script that I would use. I'm gonna pull this up so you can see this. This is the campaign. Dear homeowner, I know we haven't met in person, but I thought you should know this. This past weekend, we held a couple open houses, and then we saw 7 people come through. So again, if you have multiple listings, you can just kind of pull all your listings together. If you have like 5 open houses that week, hey, we had 35 people come through our open houses. We're currently reviewing offers, but my clients can only choose one to move forward with. I promised the families that came through the open house, I would follow up with the neighbors to see if they were in their forever home or consider moving. These 7 other families are currently looking at purchasing a home as soon as it comes to the market. If you're in your forever home, throw this letter away. Everyone's saying your community is great, and I don't blame you for staying. But if it's something you consider, I may have a buyer. All you need to do is send me a quick text. Again, make the first step a small step, and I'm happy to help you make the connection. And that's it. 50 letters, 2 listings, not appointments, listings. So my goal here for an open house, and by the way, that is in listing leads. That's part of the listing leads marketing system. My goal here is I want to take every opportunity when I host open houses, combine them into a story and send that mailer out to get people to raise their hand. So that's how you should use in an open house to get 2 or 3 additional listing appointments every single time. I mean, Rajiv and Larry, I don't care about interest rates. I don't care about inventory. I don't care about tariffs. There's plenty of market to get out there. You're either in chaos mode or you are in consolidation mode. And I want you guys to be in consolidation mode.
Well said. Well said.
There's one more question. Maybe this will be our final one from Gerald Light. Is there a trial period for teams? I know you just showed that. Is that you're on mute, Jamie?
There you go. Gerald, sign up for the individual account as a normal user. You'll get your trial. And then if you love what we do, which I know you will, then you can upgrade to teams afterwards. So there's still no obligation. Sign up as an individual. We'll get you access to it. Your agents can do that as well if they want to. My recommendation is jump in there. You'll know within a few days that whether you're a believer or not, and then upgrading your team will be very easy from there.
Okay, we're up against the hour. Jimmy, I want to thank you for your time today. I have one more announcement, so if everyone could just hang in there. Rajiv, thank you for being Rajiv. Rajiv's the best. So great information today, Jimmy. Thank you very much. I'll just leave with one thing. There's been some changes. We're all aware of the Zillow policy changes. We have created a full-blown FAQ presentation that your sales leaders have. They'll be presenting them at the upcoming sales meetings. So please make sure that you attend. And we'll also be hosting webinars that Kurt Miller is going to be running on Thursday, May 8th, this Thursday, May 8th, this Thursday at 11, and then Thursday, May 15th at 11. So 2 opportunities. I saw the presentation the other day. It is all there. You're going to have everything that you need to navigate through these changes. And we're on the right side of these changes, I'm happy to say as well. So thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for joining us, everybody. And have a great day and a great week.
Take care.